say you make $1 million in revenue, and you might only make a couple $100,000 from that. So like revenue is different than profit.
Faith, we've been meaning to do this for a long time.
Yes.
I've
been scared to do it.
Why? Well, okay, so for those that don't know, Faith Bench was like my first social media friend. We're actually the same person, in case you weren't aware.
Same person in different fonts.
Like, actually, we even look the same. It's kind of strange. We just tell people we're sisters. It's fine. We might as well be. But, like, literally, when I talk about you to people, I'm just in awe of you.
Aww.
Like, I've been so excited for this, and I've talked to so many people that have taken their craft and turned it into a small business. And every time I try to go into, like, really what it takes to make a small business, I always think in the back of my head, you know what, I'm just going to let Faith explain it. Because you're just so good. And you are just such a genius when it comes to, like, business things. I've genuinely just always been in awe of you.
You are so sweet.
I just love you so much. You're just, like, one of my favorite people. I just actually love you so much.
But literally, remember we met years and years ago, like you had just started content creation and like
you just hit 1 million on TikTok.
Yeah.
That's
you had you were like really small, right? And you were like, now you've exploded.
When we met, I think I had 20K on TikTok, which is wild. We met with all the TikTok teachers. Everyone had like a Discord.
That's how I started with the teacher content.
We played like Jackbox games on Friday night, the teacher TikTokers. And then we kind of like diverged a little bit.
Yeah, we all
both of us.
Yeah, we both kind of found what was more authentic to us. Neither of us are in the classroom anymore, and we kind of went off on different routes, but we've stayed close.
Yeah.
I love you so much. You're so amazing.
Like for those that don't know, like Miss Bench is the fidget toy queen. Like you started as a high school teacher.
Middle school.
Middle school.
Yes,
you were middle
I was
school.
a middle school math teacher.
Math. That's like the one thing that I'm like, how are we related?
And so
we're not, but we are.
Yep. So I was doing fun teacher skits and teacher content. And I had my first million on TikTok just doing like teacher stuff.
Correct.
Well, I was sharing, like I had, remember when it was like random things you have that just make sense?
Yes.
So that was this big trend. And so I was doing random things I have in my classroom that just make sense. And I was sharing all sorts of things like my whiteboard desks or like my super realistic cats and dogs or things like that. And that series was doing phenomenal. Well, one of them was the sensory tools that I used in my classroom. And people were like, what are those? Where can I get them? So I started sharing more about them, like the best sensory tools for when you're stressed. Fidget toys, if you're taking a test, the best fidget toys for when you're angry, the best fidget toys for when you're going on an airplane, things like that. And I kind of diverged them as like the worst fidget toys when you're going on an airplane.
Don't ever have these in your classroom. Your teacher will want to rip their hair out.
So those were so people love that content because this was before people knew what fidget toys were. And so they're like, what are those? Where can I get them? And so that's when I was like, okay, these are so helpful. These are so beneficial. Like, I want to make these more accessible.
Explain to people who still might not understand sensory toys and fidget toys and what they are and what they do.
Okay, so fidget toys are another word for sensory tools. They overlap a lot.
I wish we remembered to bring some. I should have reminded you. That was my bad. I'm so sorry.
But they're helpful for like focus, staying on track, which sometimes we both need.
The ADHD.
And I forgot them. That's literally my entire life, and I forgot to bring them.
I'm surprised I don't have any in my bag. Y'all don't understand how many Miss Bench's fidget toys I have in my house.
I used to keep you supplied with dough balls.
I was just talking about the dough balls the other day. I was just talking about them to my Discord friends.
We were send you a new package.
I do love the dough balls. This is correct. Okay, continue.
So basically, like, they really help you focus and stay on track. So like, if you have a lot of extra energy or pent up energy, like, it's not just going to disappear. Like, it's going to come out in some way. And whether that's you tapping your foot or tapping a pen or getting distracted here and there, it's like a sensory tool can actually help kind of dispel all that extra energy and chaos going on in your brain, which frees up the rest of your brain to focus on what you need to focus on, whether that's a teacher, whether that's your job, whether that's gaming, whatever it is. So it kind of, there's so many benefits. That's how it started. That's
Oh,
how
yeah.
I use them in my classroom. But I mean, people now, so I use the sensory tools in my classroom, but it's really like exploded. It became like a worldwide trend. And now, I mean, there's so many more benefits to them. And I mean, one is just like it brings you joy. They're fun and they're cute and they make you smile.
They do
That's
make me happy.
That's enough of a reason to have one. You know what I mean? So there's so many different, like you could go down so many different rabbit trails of like
Right.
what they're good for, what their uses are, how they benefit you, and it will be different for every person.
Yes, correct. And it depends on like what their needs are also.
Yeah.
Like we have ADHD. And I know for a while there were some schools that really pushed against the fidget toy trend because they just didn't really understand
You
it at
didn't
the time.
understand, and also you have to absolutely have like guidelines.
Yes.
Like I have an entire store. I have hundreds and hundreds of fidget toys that I sell. There is only like one page of fidget toys that I would allow in my classroom.
Exactly.
So even though I sell hundreds of them as a teacher, there's only specific ones that I allowed in my
Right.
classroom. And so like there's definitely guidelines.
Yes.
And I'll tell you like what's the setting you're using them. Is it work? Then it needs to be
Silent.
like silent.
Not
There's
messy.
different, yeah.
One piece. Pieces can't get everywhere. Same with the classroom. Is it going to distract
Yeah.
whoever's sitting next
So
to
it
you?
depends where you're at, what setting you're in
Mhm.
as to what fidget toys or sensory tools are appropriate for that setting.
I love that.
But yeah, so basically people were like, how can I get them? How can I get them? And at the time, like they weren't well known. So the only place you could get them was from like Chinese sellers on Amazon. And it was just kind of like, I was like, okay, I know like this is my job. Like I know all about these. I want to make them accessible to everyone because at the time they weren't very accessible. And I also wanted to make sure they were affordable for
Right.
people so that
Absolutely.
it was accessible, like you can get them and it would fit every
Right.
like price point.
Because a lot of times, typically the kids, fidget toys are for everyone, but you started
Yeah.
focusing on the kids because you were a
Yeah,
teacher. And
I mean-
a lot of times the kids that need them are not always the ones that have the support elsewhere. So like making them affordable and accessible is going to be so important for that.
Yeah, so that's how Fidget Toys Plus was born. And I launched it in October of 2020.
Oh, that feels so long
I
ago.
know, it's
At what point did you decide like I'm just gonna make this my own business? Like I'm just gonna be a small business owner.
Yeah, so when I was purchasing, they would come in big packages.
Right.
And that was fine for me as a teacher. We
Right.
get classroom sets. But I realized like for normal people, they don't want to buy 50 acupressure rings or they don't need 25 dough balls. Like they need one.
Right.
So it was kind of like, okay, yeah, the only place you can get them is Amazon. Daddy Bezos has enough money. Like, let me try this out. Also, again, it wasn't accessible. Like, you don't need 50 dough balls.
Mm-hmm.
You might need one or two. So it was also like,
was
okay, like, yeah, like let me. So it was just kind of like, I wanted it to be able to like, you can buy one dough ball, you can buy one acupressure ring, you can buy one mesh and marble and try them out, as opposed to buying 100 pack of mesh and marble. Like it wasn't something that they were like selling one or two of. So there's just a few reasons. So I started Fidget Toys Plus, and yeah, my goal was to make them accessible and affordable. And it was before, like now they're everywhere. They're literally, I mean, you go into a gas station, but in 2020, they were not. They were not anywhere. It wasn't until like mid 2021 that like stores caught onto the trend because it exploded on TikTok first.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a little bit of time for like other people to notice trends and to like be able to get the product into their store.
And for corporations to understand the trends
Yeah.
and to actually implement them and go through the red tape.
So since I started the trend, I was like, okay, like I knew the product and I had a goal of making it accessible and affordable. I was like, okay, I got to do this. I was still working in education at the time.
That's
so I remember,
scary.
yeah.
How terrified were you?
No, I wasn't because I didn't even tell anybody. So I remember literally I was just doing my normal job and I was just like, I'll just do this on the side. And like, I didn't tell anybody. Like nobody knew that I was doing it except for literally my husband. Like I don't even think I told my parents. Like I was just like, oh. And I stayed up late one night and like made my Shopify website. And they just have all these templates and stuff. I just picked a template and I made my website and I launched it, and I had like 1,000 orders the first 24 hours. And I was like, oh, this might be something. Hang on.
Oh
And so
my
it just like,
gosh.
yeah, it just took off.
So so how does it actually work to start a small business? Like, what are the first steps that you have to take to have a legitimate small business for like anyone that might want to start their own?
Yeah, it's actually really, really easy. And
Okay.
it's very affordable.
Okay. Okay.
So you have to file an EIN,
what is that?
which is something from the IRS.
Okay,
So it's
okay.
like from the federal government. You only have to do it one time, and
What
it's
does
free.
that form kind of do? Like, what's the point of that form?
That that's like your employer identification number.
Okay.
EIN.
Okay.
And like I said, it's one-time thing through the federal government, and now you that's documentation that you need.
Okay.
But it's free. So like if
Okay.
anyone's trying to get you to pay for it or anything, like that's
It's
a scam.
Don't
Don't do it.
I see the same person.
So that's important. And that's through like the IRS. So that's
Right.
like everyone. But then it's state specific after that.
Okay.
So
You're in Florida.
I'm in Florida. So
Mhm.
I went to the Sunbiz, it's
Okay.
called, because we're the Sunshine State. And I filed. And I believe I filed as an LLC at first, but as
Okay.
my business grew, I ended up changing to an S corporation.
Do you know the differences between them all? If not, that's okay. I will eventually have finance people on.
Okay.
I just haven't befriended them yet.
Yeah, so that's something that like is very specific to your business and what stage you're at.
Okay.
So like you would usually start as an LLC.
Okay.
That's like for like the small businesses, and like it's very business specific, so what you do. So you start as an LLC a lot of times, and then depending on how you grow or what you do. So we do a lot of international orders. Like we do
Oh.
a ton of international orders
What country do you ship the most to?
all over. The like all over.
That's
Australia,
crazy.
the
Oh my gosh.
UK, Philippines.
I love
over.
that.
So
Yeah, we got to get your language channels.
Yes.
We got to do that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're doing that.
yeah,
for
so
sure.
we ended up needing like for tax purposes and
Okay.
things like that. We ended up it would save us money as an S corporation.
Okay.
So we are an S corporation.
Okay.
And then like a C corporation's if you're like publicly traded, like a public company, which we're not.
Okay.
But so there's differences and they kind of overlap. So like you could be an LLC and do international, but after a certain point of international orders, like it makes more sense financially to be an S corporation. So you that's something you'll talk to like your specific tax person, like your
Right.
tax
No,
person.
for sure,
They
yeah.
like kind of look at your specifics because
Okay.
there are like overlapping in them.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it's very business specific, but you have to file that every year
Okay.
with your state. And there is like a fee attached to that.
Okay.
And then the other thing you have to file yearly with your state is your resale certificate,
Okay.
which just says that you're allowed to resell things.
Okay.
And that's free though. So like
So-
that's free.
So most of it
It's free.
is free.
Yeah.
Okay. So actually like creating the hey this thing exists now is really simple.
So simple. I went on to Sunbiz and like you type in your business name to see if it's available.
Okay.
So I was like Fidget Toys Plus, it's available. No one else. I mean, I started Fidget Toys company,
No,
like all
yeah,
that. Like so, it's like
It's
makes
gonna be,
sense.
it's gonna be,
But
yeah.
like you could say it's something more common. Like if you typed your name in, they'd be like, "Sorry, there's another business that uses that name," so you'd have to find a different name.
Interesting. Do you know if that's like statewide or nationwide?
That's statewide. Like
Like even the name stuff, the database they pull from is just statewide.
I think so.
Okay, that
Yeah.
that makes sense. ADHD questions, you know. So when does
And that's the only thing that costs money, and it's like $70 a year.
that's not the worst.
No,
That's
I
not
mean
the
it's
worst. Okay.
super like low barrier entry. Like anyone could start a small business.
So okay, you officially have like the business in name.
Okay.
What are your next steps? Like
Start
what did
marketing,
you do?
sell.
Okay.
Yeah. So
How did you start? I mean, you obviously had your TikTok.
I had my
that was a little easier.
TikTok. I think I had a couple, like, it was October of 2020. So I maybe had 2 or 3 million. And so I just posted.
Followers, not
Followers.
dollars.
Followers.
I would understand.
Thank you.
You know, not everyone has a small loan of $1 million lying around.
It's one person. I don't want to be political. Wasn't
No,
that
no,
like a thing though? Is like I took a small loan from my father. I took a small loan of $1 million from my father.
It's just a meme. It's a good meme. It's a good meme.
I wish. Unfortunately, no.
I just wanted to
Followers.
clarify that.
Which
Good.
are more benefit. Like I think they're more. I would
They're
rather
even
have
better.
even
They're
better. They're people who
they're-
love you and support you.
And we love that.
So I'd rather have that. So no, followers. So I did the like Shopify website. I made my little Sunbiz account, took the name, all that, and I just posted on TikTok saying like I just opened like Fidget Toys Plus. I just opened. It was October 3rd of 2020.
I love.
And the orders came in. And I was like, oh my gosh. So literally, if you get those things like the EIN, your name registered with Sunbiz, and your resale certificate, make your Shopify, or I mean, it's not a shop. I use Shopify.
Yeah.
This isn't sponsored. I wish it was.
Sometimes Shopify does sponsor me. Maybe I'll save this episode for a Shopify episode.
Please
They
sponsor
do.
me. I've been using you for years. I love you. But obviously there's lots of different websites to use. I personally use Shopify, and then you just have to promote it.
I feel like the Shopify websites, like it's like the social media editing apps. Like one will just speak to your soul.
Yeah.
And it's whatever you feel comfortable like finagling with.
Yeah.
And that's just, you have your favorite and it is what it is.
Yeah, it's been great.
So I know you were really lucky with your TikTok followers. When it comes to someone else that might not have that, what do you think, like seeing other small businesses, because like as a business owner, you're going to study other businesses and what they're doing. I know that you are like a workaholic like me. What have you seen other small businesses do that you recommend to people who might not have the same kind of followers that you did when you started?
I mean, I'd still recommend that they make content.
Oh, absolutely. For sure. Yes. I think a lot of people also don't understand how easily content on platforms like TikTok specifically goes viral.
Right.
Because like we all in the content world kind of call TikTok like the springboard app, because it really makes you getting to other platforms possible, because just anyone can just go viral for no reason.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The reason more people aren't viral on TikTok is because
they're not posting.
They're not posting, or they're scared, or they're nervous, or they're embarrassed. I'm telling you, TikTok, sometimes you just go viral for the most dumb, random reasons, most amazing random reasons.
Yeah,
like,
it's life-changing.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I'd be in education my entire career.
I would too.
And then,
Crazy.
And the videos were doing fine. I mean, first of all, I loved being a math teacher. I loved being in education. I was so passionate about it. And I was growing a following with my teacher content. But when I started sharing within my teacher content, when I was sharing about the sensory tools, the benefits of the sensory tools, fidget toys, all of that, that started going super viral with like 20 million, 30 million views. And then I kind of was like, okay, let's lean into that. I continued to make more videos. That was doing really well. So I literally just like, I zoned in on it. And now that's what I do. I literally play with fidget toys and make slime for a living. That's my job. I have the small business and everything, but it's only because TikTok and the views that I was like, hang on, let me zoom in on this. And now it's changed my life. 5 years later, I'm 100%, like I have a whole warehouse of fidget toys. I make slime daily. You know what I mean? Like this is now my life. Whereas 5 years ago, I was literally in my memory yesterday and today, I had just won Teacher of the Year for Manatee County, and I was in the running for Teacher of the Year for the entire state of Florida, which was a humongous honor because only like 62 teachers a year are up for that award. And that was 5 years ago today.
That's crazy.
And I literally thought I would be in education my entire life. And now I'm like, no, I made slime today. Before I came to do this, I was literally like mixing up slime.
I love playing with slime.
So it's like, it's literally life-changing. It changes the entire trajectory of your life.
And it makes you're not just like, yes, you have a small business, but like you enjoy what you're doing. Like, yeah, we love teaching and we were passionate about
I love teaching.
There's a difference when it's like your baby.
Yeah.
Like we created what we're doing. And I think that's the beautiful thing.
We're workaholics, so we're gonna, whether we're teachers, we're gonna be like the best teachers we can be, or whether we have our own job. But it's so much more flexible.
it's so much more sustainable,
Yeah.
which is crazy considering people still call us like we are workaholics, but it is still so much more sustainable to be workaholics in what we're doing now than as educators. But it's also so much, it feels more rewarding to yourself. Like you are not just, I know someone in the comments is going to be like, well, when you're teaching the lives of others. Yes,
Well,
but like you can see.
I felt very fulfilled as a teacher.
Mhm,
It
I
was
did
very
too.
rewarding.
I
I never
loved it.
felt burnt out or anything. Like I know some teachers, like I personally never did
How long did you teach
experience
for?
that. 8 years.
Okay.
I taught for
You
8
taught
years.
longer than I did.
And
I was
I
5.
loved every second of it. Like
Mhm.
I
I loved
did not want, when I gave my resignation. Well, I had my I was downtown by the time, so I started Fidget Toys Plus. I was
Mhm.
still in education, but I was no longer in the classroom. I was downtown as the curriculum specialist for secondary
Right, I
math.
remember. Yeah.
So I was overseeing the math teachers from 6th through 12th grade for the district. So I remember when it was taking off, and Matt, my husband, he did physical therapy work, like in-home health stuff, and he's like, you like, we need to focus on this. This is a once in a lifetime thing. We need to focus on this. And he's like, basically, you need to quit.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I can't. Like, I loved my district so much. I loved my job so much. I was like, I can't. So he actually quit first and started like focusing kind of like on like the logistics and the fulfillment and stuff. And I still did all the social media, all the marketing and all the picking and like all that. It was very much involved. But I had 2 full-time jobs plus kids. So it was like after I was basically realizing like, yeah, this is not sustainable. Like 100% in at my school district job, 100% in at my new small business, plus being a parent, all the things. So I realized I had to quit the school district, but it was such a hard decision.
It's
so
scary.
I had my letter of resignation, and I had a meeting with my director, my executive director, and I literally went into the meeting to tell her I quit, and she was like, I just wanted to let you know we just nominated you for this award. You're doing incredible. Like, you're exceeding expectations. We're so proud of you. So we nominated you for this like district administration award. And I was like, I was like, amazing, thank you. And I did not give my letter of resignation. I went back out to the car and I like cried. I'm like, I can't quit my job. Like, I love it. They're so good to me and I just love it. So like, I never didn't want to be a teacher. So I did end up gathering the courage and resigning. It was so hard. But I left like loving that job 100%. So for me, it was never like, I don't want to be a teacher. I need a side job. It was like, I want to make these items accessible for everyone, affordable for everyone. Let me start this. Then it exploded. So it was like, this is it felt like I love my job with the school district and I'm so thankful for it. And I felt like I had a really fast trajectory through like that. But at the same time, I was like, I can't pass up this once in a lifetime opportunity with this small business that I just started. And I can't do both. I'm not a type of like if I'm doing my school district job, it's 100%
into one.
And I can't do both.
No,
it has to be one.
Because that burns you out.
So I was like, I feel awful doing this, but I have to focus on my small business.
Absolutely.
So that's what it was. So I never like didn't feel fulfilled or didn't feel like I loved my school district job. But it was like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And so now 5 years later, I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I did this because it is, I mean, unfortunately, it does make more money than my school district job. I have a lot more flexibility.
Well, I know people are going to hate what I'm about to say. Not everybody. Most people will not. I know there's going to be some haters about it, and that's fine. They just can. When you're teaching, it's so fulfilling and you're so passionate about it because you know that you are changing the world and you are helping so many kids. And that's why I loved it too. Like, I loved teaching. I thought I was going to be there for 30 years.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you do kind of have to be selfish for yourself and your family and know, am I able to give myself to my family with the time? Am I able to give your kids what you want to be able to give them with what you're making at your job? And at the end of the day, sometimes you have to be selfish for your own family and for yourself. And that's what I mean when I say, teaching was very fulfilling for me, feeling like I'm doing something good for the world. But becoming like doing this makes me feel like I'm doing something good for myself too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I no longer have to be gaslit by parents all day, or I got up in the mornings for school. I'm not a morning person, like in the slightest bit. Like it literally was after 5 years, my health was not well because I just cannot sleep well at night. Like I have borderline like insomnia.
Mm-hmm.
So finally getting to sleep and then waking up a couple hours later was
Yeah, that'd be
so
hard.
bad. Like there's just so many factors that go into at some point you have to choose yourself. And
Yeah.
sometimes that means taking a risk and following your dreams. And I'm so thankful that ours worked out the way that they did because we got lucky. Like I think a lot of people, like I will say a lot of like for me at least, like it's luck. Like I mean, we work hard.
Yeah.
We work very hard in what we do when we put a lot of work and a lot of effort into it and a lot of planning. But at the end of the day, I contribute a lot of my success to luck.
Like, it just makes sense what the next steps are. So a lot of
Yes.
people are like, Faith, how did you know to make that? Why did you, like, how did
Sometimes-
you know to do that? And I'm like, that's the step that made sense. Like, well, how did you know to do that before you did that? I'm like, that's just the logical path.
When you are given
like,
the
you-
cards, you make sense of like what to play next, but you have to have the cards first. And I think once people see opportunities presented in front of them, it starts to make more sense of what the right choice is going to be and what the right choice to make you happy and fulfill you and fulfill your heart and set your path up. Like it just makes sense. The next step makes sense. If you're given these opportunities, I'm going to go for it. Now I'm rambling because my Adderall's wearing off. And I'm just going in circles. So I'm going to ask you a question. What are some misconceptions that people might have about starting a small business or having a small business or anything along those lines?
Well, I think that people like think it is a lot harder to start a small business than it is, and I think they overthink it a lot.
Yes.
And they're like,
agree.
I have to have everything perfect, and they're like planning the launch of this business for a year, 2 years, and then they never launch it. Like they're second guessing themselves. Everything has to be perfect, and that's like, I think that's a misconception. Like, just do it. It's really
Just start
not
it.
that hard. Just start it. You'll figure it out as you go. Be transparent with your customers, of course, like, whenever, with different things, but like, you'll figure it out.
You just made me think of a misconception that I think a lot of people have about small businesses. When starting a small business, you need to find a need. So I think like you found a huge need. Fidget toys, there's a lot of kids, business professionals, whoever, people have sensory needs. You found that need, you filled that need. I think it's really important for people to remember that your customers are looking for your product because they have a need. And so if you have to find that need and then cater to it. But if you just were to say, "Oh, hey guys, I have I'm trying to think of kazoos. I'm selling kazoos. Who wants to buy my kazoo?" And you go to a school and ask teachers, "Do you want to buy a kazoo?" What teacher is going to stock their classroom with kazoos?
So you need to be the most passionate person about kazoos, and then you need to
Find
make
people who
videos
need
about
kazoos.
kazoos and find other like-minded people who also like kazoos and start to build your
You
community,
gotta find
your
people who are
audience,
performing at birthday parties. You gotta find people who are doing little
and make
kids'
kazoos cool.
Right, make them cool. Find people who need them.
When I started sharing about fidget toys, there was a little bit of a stigma attached to it. Only, like, because I didn't create fidget toys. I've created some of them, but like, I brought awareness to a product that was there that most people didn't know about, and the people who did used it because they needed it, whether it was severe ADHD or perhaps on the autism spectrum, or they were using it for a purpose. There was a very small amount of people who used it for a specific need. So basically, I brought awareness to it, but there was at first a stigma attached to it. I'm like, hey, no. In fact, in my classroom before I was using sensory tools in my classroom since 2013. And I would tell my kids there's 3 types of people. People who need sensory tools, like they genuinely need it to help them focus and stay on track, etc. And then 2, there's people who don't need it, But they enjoy use it. Why not? If it doesn't distract you, you enjoy squeezing a stress ball while you're listening to my lesson, that's totally fine. You can use my standing desk even if you don't need it. If you want to, go ahead and stand. You've been sitting all day. You can use my wobble stool even if you don't need it. If you enjoy that little bit of movement, it's not going to hurt you. And then there are people who it actually distracts them. Like, you should not be on the wobble stool. That is actually causing a disruption and making it harder. So there's 3 types of people. People who need it, people who don't need it but enjoy using it. It's fine. And then there's the third group who it actually does the opposite.
Right.
Okay. So I taught old enough kids. I was like, you need to figure out, like, some of you know who you are if you need it, you have an IEP, etc. But other than that, you need to figure out if you enjoy using them and it's good and helpful, or if you need to sit in a normal chair and not have any sensory tools or toys or whatever. Anyway, there's multiple different types of people. So when I started sharing about, and in my classroom, there was a stigma at first, and then they realized they all loved it. They all enjoyed it. There was no stigma attached. So when I started sharing it with millions of people, the same thing had to happen. Like, guys, anyone can use this. This is beneficial for everyone, whether it's you need help with stress, you need help to focus, or it just makes you smile. That's fine too. Anyone can use it, any age. No, so it had to like work past that stigma.
Absolutely.
Even then. So like if there's like a, and then if there's like a stigma with like kazoos, you need to work past that. Like, no, kazoos are cool.
Right.
But I think the big thing is you have to be like the most passionate person about them. Like,
Faith would literally come to conferences with a mermaid fidget toy that was the size of us. You don't understand.
I would
Every
carry
year.
around the world's biggest, the world's biggest poppet. It's a good conversation starter. It's, like I am passionate about my sensory tools and fidget toys.
That's exactly like, again, I'm rambling because my Adderall's wearing off, and that's fine. But like back to finding your audience, you would take the fidget toy and you would go to these conferences and you would find the creators with kids and you'd find the family channels. Like, you're not going to go find the MMA fighter creators and be like, hey guys, like maybe down the line, right? But you need to get started. That's finding your audience. Yeah. That's a good example of the point I was trying to make, and I didn't like that I couldn't make it.
You have to find your community. Yes. Because like everyone has their own, like that's what's so cool about social media in general. Like there's millions and millions and millions of people. There are other people like me or like you or that have interests that's similar, and then we find each other online and we build these really cool communities. So you absolutely have to, whatever idea you have or whatever thing you want to fix, like you have to find your people. You have to find your audience, definitely.
Can you think of any other misconceptions people might have about starting a small business, having a small business? We talked about a lot earlier. People don't understand. We talked about I'm going to start it because you do such a better job at explaining it than me, because this is your world. The size of small businesses, like what actually classifies as a small business.
Yeah. So should I look and see like what the actual definition of a small business is?
If you want to, you can.
Because people are like,
I feel like people hear small business and they think, oh, this person is sitting in their home and hand packing every single order. And that is a lot of times the case. And that is wonderful and awesome. But as small businesses grow, you don't just go from living room to Walmart levels overnight.
Right.
That's not how that works. That doesn't happen. And I feel like something we were talking about in the car, a lot of times people see a small business and they cheer it on, they cheered on, they cheered on, and they're like, oh, it's so great.
Until you get
to a certain monetary value, and it's still classified as a small business, but people just hear monetary value and they're like, oh no, you're a corporation. Oh, you guys suck. Eat the rich. And it's like, wait, hold on a second. This is still a mom and pop shop.
Yeah, like there's a big difference between like a Walmart, a Target, and Amazon, and like, a small business who may have their own warehouse, or a small business who may have a few employees. So a small business is under 500 employees. Like I don't have anywhere near 500 employees. So it's like I'm still very much a small business. Absolutely. And it's like when you support small businesses, like there's that little thing they share on Instagram. It's like you're paying for gymnastics lessons and soccer lessons. It's very much different than the billionaires.
Yeah.
you know, who are like just, I mean, I can't even
A
imagine.
4th beach house.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
If you get a
So
4th beach house, can I have a beach house?
if I get a beach,
If you ever get like 4, I feel like I could use 1. It's
yeah,
fine.
I know. I mean, I would just love to get one. So that's, yeah, it's like what,
Well, and I feel like people don't understand that the inventory and like the money when it comes to small businesses is not the same as when it comes to
Okay.
corporations. Go ahead.
yeah. So like so like your revenue is different than like your profit. So like
Explain
when
that.
you make, so like I'm just gonna throw out
No, that's okay.
hypothetical
That's all right.
numbers.
Yeah.
Like say you make $1 million in revenue. Well, you're paying rent, you're paying employees, you're paying for inventory, you're paying fulfillment costs, you're paying shipping fees, which is a lot of money. So you're paying, so if you make $1 million in revenue, like you're paying out a very large portion of it. It's going back into the business, and you might only make a couple 100,000 from that. So like revenue is different than profit.
That reminded me of the story you told me about in the car about the small business who shared their profits online.
Yeah.
People didn't really understand what that meant, and they got a. Granted, they did do something wrong, but it's a sticky, it's
Yeah.
a slippery slope. And just hearing the profit numbers got people so upset. I'm gonna let you tell it.
So there
No
was
names.
yeah.
No names.
So it was a small business who raised the cost of their product, but didn't.
And we're gonna do
like,
no
make
names.
it
We're doing
no names.
because
Wonder-
we love everyone here.
Yeah, I'm friends with everyone.
Yeah.
They didn't make it widely known, and then it was Black Friday, like Christmas time, so they then had a sale, and so people purchased their item thinking they were getting it on sale until somehow it was realized, like, wait a second, it's the same price, because they had raised the price without anyone knowing, offered a sale, which took it to the original price. So it was kind of, but the tough part is, and so people felt a little bit like,
Used.
yeah, and
and
like a little
manipulated.
bit like they were disappointed. They were excited for the sale, then disappointed when they realized like they'd kind of been bamboozled. Is how I think they felt.
Right. No, that
Whoever,
makes
and I and
sense.
like I don't
That's
know the
valid.
specifics. So, but I think they had done an interview recently where they had like put out numbers like X amount, like we're doing X amount in sales, we're scheduled to make this much X amount, and it was like a lot of money, like millions of dollars.
Like I think it was like 3, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So people were like, that's kind of crappy. Like, we're like, I mean, inflation has
being
been
bamboozled.
crazy recently. So people like, money is tight and they're wanting to support a small business, but then they're feeling like they're kind of,
Manipulated a little
I don't
bit.
know, like, but they were disappointed. They were
sense.
upset.
I would be too.
And it was like, yeah, like, I see both sides. I would never want to do that to my customer, but it's like, you know, I mean,
Inflation does go up.
yeah.
I think it's inflation does go up. Prices, especially when it comes to small business, are going to go up with it.
But
I
like
think
maybe
there's a level of
be more
transparency.
transparent about
Like
it.
don't say, "Oh, it's on sale," but it's really not.
Yeah.
I think then that would be fine. And they ended up like refunding
Yeah,
all that money.
they
Yeah.
100%. Like it's
That's
my
good.
understanding that they were like took full responsibility and were like, "Hey, we did not mean to do that. That was not our intent," and they refunded the people the difference, all of that.
I think
I just try to keep like I have not rose my like my prices have not risen since I started
no, that's
in
amazing.
October, and I just try to be so affordable because I literally just want it to be accessible for everyone. So like
love
if you
that.
ever price check me, like I'm always lower. It doesn't matter if it's fidget toys, slime, what it is. Like I give teacher discounts, all the things because I do donations all the time because like, you know, I just like I have such a heart for it and I want like I love them and I know the benefit of it. So it's like I want people to be able to have them in their
love
homes.
that.
So that's like I'm like, you'll never have that scandal with me. That will never be me. I am always probably too low priced.
But it's the teacher in you. Like it never really leaves. It's always
Yeah,
there
it's
like a
like-
little bit. But something that we said earlier reminded me of a story that someone sent me.
Okay.
And it kind of goes along the lines of like people don't understand that the money in the inventory with small businesses just it does sound like a lot of money. You are playing with a lot of money, but it does not compare to the corporation levels. So someone sent me a story about how they started a small business. I believe it was homemade soaps.
Aw.
I love looking at the homemade soaps.
Yeah.
They're so pretty. But anyways, homemade soaps. Um, And they were fulfilling some orders, and every now and then they would like take a look at the order details, and they would like pick one or two, and they would throw in a little freebie because
Yeah.
they just thought it would be so much fun, and
Yeah.
they wanted their customers to feel love. I mean, you can't afford to do that for everybody,
I do it for
but you know,
everybody.
do you really?
I know, I shouldn't. I'm too good. That's like my love language.
That's
Giving
okay.
is like my love
I
language.
understand that.
I
I
know,
understand
it's
that.
terrible.
If you can, that's great. If you can't, don't feel like you have to. Faith and I are workaholics. We have problems. All of our friends say that. It's fine. But so
I give a free extra in every single order.
that is really cute.
I have for
That is really
since I started. So continue.
She was not able to do
No,
that.
and
She did not have a mat at home. And she wasn't able to do that. And so one time she sent out some orders, and a couple days later she got an email that was like, I don't understand why you're being so stingy. And she says, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Was there something wrong with your order? She says, yeah, something was wrong with my order. You didn't give me an extra this time? And she said, oh. And she looked at the order history, and she saw that this was one of the people that she just randomly threw in something extra in a previous order. So when they made another order and they didn't receive a freebie, they apparently were very upset about it and very offended about it. And she said, oh, I'm sorry. I can't afford to do freebies all the time.
Right.
Like, it would be really nice if I could. I just don't have those kind of funds. The soaps are really expensive to make sometimes. I'm really glad I was able to give it to you the first time, but I just can't do that every time. I'm sorry if that upsets you. And all she said back was, well, you just reminded me why I'm going to go to corporate anyways. Like, just shop corporate, not small business.
Free
because-
extras. And
well, it's just cheaper. And she said it's cheaper to shop at corporate, and she would shop at small businesses with the understanding she would get freebies. But if she's not going to get freebies, then she's just going to go back to corporate. And it's like, well, girl.
So I think it's like they do want that added personal touch. But personal
sense.
touch doesn't have to be a
Doesn't have to
freebie.
be-
But
I
it sounds
know.
like in
Right.
this story,
She just wanted free
I'm
thing.
thinking maybe like, yeah, she's equating that with like that personal touch. But I have had, so we do give we do give a free extra in every order, and that story did remind me.
Okay.
We are humans packing these orders,
Yes,
okay?
correct,
So our
yes.
intent is to include a free extra and a sticker in every order.
Right.
But we are human.
Correct.
And sometimes mistakes happen, and we may not include it. It happens very rarely, but sometimes we do get emails, and they're like, I got my order, but my sticker wasn't in there. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, it was human error. Or, I respond back, like, very apologetic, because I am very apologetic. But, like, sometimes they don't understand that. And they're like, no, like, you promised every order would get a sticker. And I'm like, we do. That's our intent. Like, we are trying to put a sticker in every order. It was human error. Like, if I'm packing multiple orders and I forget it in there, please know it was not intentional. And there have been a few times where they like won't accept that as an answer, and I have to
What do
like,
they want?
they want, I don't know. I don't know.
You don't mail them a sticker?
I had to do that.
First of all.
And I did do that. But I'm like, it was an
I-
accident. Like, my intent was to, but I am human.
First
And
of
I
all,
do make mistakes that time, or maybe my helpers do make mistakes sometimes, like, and forget to include it. But people, it's like a free extra. What do you want me to do? Refund you for your free item? Like, I'm sorry.
I will never be able to relate to the audacity of calling to complain about not receiving a freebie of something.
Yeah.
First of all, like, that to me, that's like out of the kindness of your heart. You don't have to do that. That's not what they're paying for.
Right.
I will just never. That's first of all. Second of all, I'm floored that it was over a sticker.
Yeah, it was a sticker. And I genuinely feel bad. Like,
Oh,
I
yes,
promise,
I would too, because I'm like you. Like, in that moment, I would feel like I let someone down. But on the
Yeah,
outside looking in, I'm
because-
like, a sticker?
yeah, like, I want to, like, I understand they had certain expectations, and I want to meet their expectations. Like, I really do. And I'm so thankful that they shopped with me, and I want to meet those expectations. I feel awful. But then on the flip side, I'm like, okay, now I'm going to lose even more. Because, first of all, the stickers, the free extras, they're not free for me.
Yeah.
It cost me money to produce it. So then I'm like, okay, so now I have to decide, like, I made an error. I said I would include a freebie. I didn't. So now I'm gonna lose even more money because I have to pay shipping and ship it, and I'm like, ugh. So yeah, that's why I
Made a
probably
mistake.
shouldn't, but I do.
Oh my
But it's
gosh.
not, yeah. So there's so many like facets to it, you
So
know.
and you have gone from not just doing like an at-home thing, like you have an in-person store now.
Yeah.
When did you decide, okay, I've expanded to the point where I need to have an in-person option?
Well, okay, so I built a warehouse, which
Mhm.
was a huge step for
Amazing.
my little company. So I'm really excited about that. So when I built the warehouse, basically we just built out a
Mhm.
little store in the front of it, and it has a little door, and you can go in and shop in the store.
Mhm.
And I do birthday parties there, and we have events there. It's like super fun.
I
So
love
it
your
was
store.
basically when I built my warehouse,
Okay.
I was like, we'll put a store in the front of it.
That's cute. I love
And
that.
it all kind of goes together. Like, I probably couldn't afford to have a store like at a mall or,
No,
you
yeah.
know, like in a like a normal traditional store
It's the next
place.
logical step.
But for me, I'm so proud of my little store. And yeah, it's like in a warehouse park. So people, like, I never get like foot traffic, not anyone like window shopping, like, oh, let me pop in here. It's
Yeah.
like people who know they're coming.
That makes sense.
But we still get people who come.
That's
We have
really
a
cute.
map in our store, and people put a pin from wherever they're visiting from, and we have pins from all over the world.
I love
Yeah.
I'm trying to you just unlocked a memory in my brain. Because for those that don't know, I was at Faith's grand opening for her store. I flew in just for the grand
She's an
opening.
angel.
And I remember, but if you don't want me to tell the story, I don't have
No,
to.
go ahead.
I'm trying to
I don't know
remember
what story you're
exact-
going to tell, so.
There was this person that was being a total Karen at your grand opening.
Mm.
And I'm trying to remember all the details. Like I didn't even, it was just such a perfect day that it like slipped my mind until something that you said triggered a memory. And I remember.
So we had hundreds of people
Yeah.
there, remember?
Yes, but this one caused a stink.
So,
If you want to go ahead.
no, I was just going to preface the story by saying we had hundreds of
Oh,
people
yeah,
who came
yeah.
to support their grand
It was
opening.
beautiful.
Meant so much to me. So, like, I'm so thankful for every single person who came. So, with small businesses and everything, there are growing pains.
Yes.
And I
correct.
had never had a grand opening before.
Correct.
And I am in Florida, and
And
it was
hot.
in August.
And it was hot.
So, with growing pains, and that's another reason that I'm so thankful for my customers, because they go through your growing pains. Like, corporations have it all figured out and to the letter, and manuals, and they know what they're doing, right? Like, we're figuring it out as we go.
See?
So that's why like people who support small businesses are like next level, because like
most wonderful.
they're so supportive and they have to understand the little hiccups. So
I
we
don't-
had a grand opening in the middle of the day
Mhm.
in August. We had hundreds of people show up, which
Mhm.
was incredible, and it was hot.
Mhm.
And people were waiting in line for hours.
Yes.
Yeah. And I thought I was prepared. I mean, my store is air conditioned.
Mhm.
I had all these big fans. I thought I was prepared. I was not prepared, because
You can never be prepared for what you don't know what to prepare for.
so we had literally like a line. So it like started like, so if I'm in the store, we had a line that like went through the warehouse, down the parking lot, down the sidewalk,
Down the street.
down the street, and people were hot.
They were.
And I'm sure I get cranky when I'm hot too. We were in the store, which was air conditioned, but because so many people were in there, it was still
In
hot.
and out.
I had like sweat. I was sweaty.
This was
And I was in the air conditioner.
that waited in
So
line.
I'm going to, it's not someone who came in.
Mhm.
Okay, because I was going to say, I
No.
will possibly
No, no, no,
excuse
no.
their
Yes,
behavior
yes.
because they were probably very hot and they'd been waiting. But no, it wasn't.
No.
Okay,
I
wait,
remember
tell
this.
me.
This upset me.
Okay, I don't even know what she's going to say.
We tried really hard to keep it from you as long as
Okay.
we could. So that might be
Okay.
why you don't remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
Tell me, I don't even know.
For those that don't know, a lot of the volunteer helpers that day were a lot of
Kids.
her son's friends.
Yeah,
from high school.
So they were like
they were young.
teenagers, young.
And because it was a small in-person store, and there was kind of a line of procedure to go through the warehouse and do the little activities.
And the warehouse had activities. So
Yes.
and it was all free for everyone who came. So we
Mhm.
had free face painting.
The cookie decorating.
We had free cookie decorating.
Mhm.
We had free glitter tattoos,
Mhm.
free airbrush tattoos, and free slime.
Right.
And it was like the free slime was really cute because it was like you would do this little vending machine. So you'd get to
Yes.
pick like what color you wanted,
it was
and vending machine. We had a coloring station, all the things. And again, remember, even though it's free for my people who
was not
attended,
free
it's
for us.
not
Yeah.
free for me. So like, or some of the vendors, you know what I mean? So like, those were things that I wanted to do, like as a thank you for coming and everything. Like I wanted it to be the nicest day. But so they had things to do like
Right.
while they were winding through, but the lines were very long. It was very hot and sweaty.
And
so like
because there were
did my
lines,
best, but
because there were lines down the street, it was very strict about like you have to go through the warehouse.
yeah,
Like,
because
this is
we
the way that
wanted
we have it.
people,
Fire codes were important to follow as well.
and
like,
we wanted the people who were like, it's only fair. Like they've been waiting, so they need to be next. They were waiting.
right.
Yeah.
And so there was someone who drove up to this small business grand opening and tried to walk,
In
like
the front
not
door?
even wait in line,
Yeah.
walk through the front door.
Yeah.
And these little high school girls who were volunteering at the door said, "I'm so sorry, but we're not supposed to let anyone like enter in
Yeah.
this way. These are the instructions that we were given. You have to go through the line." And he looked at the line and he looked at the little high school girls and he said, "I'm not waiting in that." And they said, "That's fine, but we're not supposed to let anyone in." And this grown man got in these little girls' faces and was cussing at them and was berating them and was being so mean. I just vividly remember turning around and seeing one of their faces and just going, "No, absolutely not.
Thank
You can yell at
you.
me. I'll take it. I'll yell back. I don't care." And so I didn't know what was happening. I walked over, he walked away, and I said, "What just happened?" And they relayed all the information to me, and I said, "If he comes back," which he said that he was going to.
Oh my goodness, why would he come back?
He wasn't done. I don't know. I said, if he comes back, you come find me.
Thank you.
I'll take care of it.
Thank
And
you.
he did. Mhm.
No.
And he did.
Why
people
would he
always-
think he was entitled to not wait in line when people haven't? Like,
Don't you know he's a very important man? I don't actually know who he is. I don't know. He just, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "No, I don't." I really don't. I don't know. But he came back and he just, "Do you know who I am? I just want to get some fidget toys and come out. I'll be really quick." And I'm like, "It doesn't matter. We're supposed to do it this way. We can only have so many people in there at a time for fire code. That's why we're only letting so many people
Yeah,
in
we
at
had
a
like an
time.
entrance
That's
in
why
the
we
back
have
and an
the
exit in the
exits,
front.
so that people who were waiting, because again, people take time in shop, so that people could have something to do in line. Like, you can't just cut the entire line that's been waiting
No.
for 2 hours. It doesn't
No.
work that way. Do you know who I am? No, I
I
don't.
want to know who he
But
was.
whenever
now.
I say, like, I genuinely thought that he might have thought I was much younger. They typically do.
They think they can bully you.
Yeah, no, not me. I'm not the one.
Oh, well, thank you for
oh,
standing up
yeah.
for my girl.
I will say they did end up getting in the store because an adult did let them in.
What adult?
Your mom.
Mom is such an angel.
I was like, she's the one person here I can't yell at.
Oh, no. I didn't know that. Did they have kids with them?
No.
It was just an adult by themselves?
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
I don't know.
That's so funny, and I honestly don't think I
we,
knew that.
purposely didn't tell you because we didn't want to stress
happened.
you out. Because like
I was having the best
You
time
were, you
because like
were.
everyone was coming in, they were coming, they were shopping, they were taking pictures. I had no idea that even happened. My mom, that's hilarious.
Oh my God, your mom. I was like, they were like, "Oh, she let him in. We couldn't tell her no." I was like, "Who is that?" I didn't meet your mom yet because I literally got off the plane and Ubered to the shop.
You got there like 2 minutes before like the ribbon cutting, right?
And because my flight got delayed, it always does. But I was like, they're like, "She let him in." I was like, "Who is that?" They're like, "That's Faith's mom." I was like, "Oh, well, I guess it's fine. It is what it is."
I wish I would have known.
No, it's okay. No, the day was perfect.
But I also probably went, yeah.
Well, someone sent me a completely different story. This one you're gonna get a kick out of.
Okay.
We literally, I love it. So someone sent me a story. They had a small little business, an in-person store, and they all of a sudden they do the daily, weekly check of their reviews on Yelp and on Google,
Yeah.
as you do when you're a small business.
Yeah.
And they saw they had a very poor review.
Oh
on
no,
Google.
that's so hurtful for small
Right,
businesses.
yes, exactly. And they saw that this review said that they were at the store and that someone was yelling at their kid and it was just really rude and they had a terrible time and they never want to go back there.
Wow.
And so this person thought, oh my gosh, usually it's me at the store. It's
Yeah.
only not me every now and then. Like, let me check in and see what happened. So the store owner reached out and said, hey, when was this? I don't understand. And the guy was like, well, this was the day I was working. I don't remember there being a kid. I don't remember there being an altercation. Can you give me some more context? Apparently, this was someone who yelled at the kid outside of the store.
Oh no.
In front of the store. Not an employee, not anyone affiliated with the store, just someone that the kid ran into when they were playing and not watching when they were going, and the person they ran into was not very kind about it. And she said, oh, well, I'm so sorry that happened.
Right.
But that is not any of my employees. That's not the store. I'm sorry for the confusion. And the response was, okay, well, what are you going to do to fix it? What do you mean? Well, we were by your store, and we were going to your store, and we had this bad experience. What are you going to do to fix it? Sir, I didn't do anything. So you're just not going to fix that we had a bad time at your store? You didn't come to the store. Like, you didn't even come into the store. Well, yeah, because we had a bad time before we even got to the door.
Oh my goodness.
But if you don't want our business, and she's like, I don't think I do.
But did he take the review off?
No.
A bad review will take, because so you have all these 5-star reviews and you get one bad 3-star or one something, and then literally
entire average.
It takes it. Yeah.
It's so hurtful when those Karens and Darrens, both, they can be either, but when they go out of their way to be petty and spiteful like that, again, you're not hurting a corporation. You're like, you're hurting a little girl's dance class.
Yeah, no, it's very different. Like,
it's actually wild, the entitlement of I didn't get XYZ, or maybe even the store had a bad day. That happens. People can have bad days, human errors.
Right.
But to be so stingy about, I'm going to keep this bad review up no matter what, I'm going to destroy their livelihood. Yeah. What kind of person relishes in the idea of, I'm going to make it harder to put food on the table? Like, that's just gross behavior. I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
Or even when they do, like, they treat a small business almost like an Amazon, where it's like with the returns, or trying to say, like, oh, this was damaged, can I be refunded? I need to be refunded. I insist on being refunded. And it's like, that wasn't damaged when you received it. Like, we've had, and it's like they treat the small business like an Amazon. And it's like, well, it's a little like, I mean, we pay for this inventory. We have lower quantities of inventory. We paid for shipping. So if we're refunding 100, like, we're losing money. We're losing our shipping costs. We're losing the inventory. And it's like, I had one where, because the customer is always right, of course. Sometimes you see it, you're like, I remember it was a dough ball. Okay. And the dough balls come like prepackaged, but you can see it inside. And they sent a picture of the dough ball, and it was like out of its packaging, and I swear it had like tire marks on it. Like, it was filthy. Oh, no. It was like an orange dough ball, but it was literally like just covered in like black dirt. It looked like a car, like it looked like they had run it over with a truck. They're like, we just received our dough ball like this. And I was like, there's no way. Like, one, it's been taken out of its packaging. If you had really received like a super damaged, like, you wouldn't have even taken out of its packaging. Exactly. Like, you would have taken a picture. Like, this is what it looked like in its packaging. Yeah. We would not send it without its packaging. But anyway, I'm just like, Matt, I mean, no. Like, they clearly took it out, played with it. It looks like they ran it over with a bulldozer. Like, but it's like, okay, no, you can't say it. Like, the customer, like, it's like, oh, you're calling me a liar? I don't know how that happened. And it's like, but it's sad because it's like, okay, so you made $5 back, but it's like at the expense of someone, like, we're not, this huge $1 billion business. So it's just kind of sad, like.
You reminded me of another story that someone sent. This was this girl had those protective keychains.
Oh yes, I've seen those.
Yeah, the little protective
Yes.
keychain things. They're so cute, and they're so I hate that they're needed, but I love that they exist. And so she sent those out. She sent these orders out, and then she had a refund request, a return and a refund. And of course, absolutely, you're not satisfied with your order, she'll
Right.
always take them back. So she received this one return, and she opened it, and just about all the little protective accessories were gone.
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
Yeah.
And so she responded back to the buyer and she said, "Hey, I can't give you a refund because you took the product."
Right.
"No, I sent it back." "Well, you sent back
Like a piece of it.
the pom-pom and the actual keychain
Right.
part, but everything that actually cost the money to make, you kept." "Well, that's how I received it. I was just sending it back to you how I received it." And she's like, "That's funny because when I asked what was wrong with your order, you said nothing. You just didn't like the color. I feel
Right.
like if everything was missing off of that,
You would say
you
that.
would have said that beforehand, even though I'm the one that hand packages all of them and I would never send one blank like that.
Right.
But regardless, you didn't." "Oh, well, I just didn't think about it." "Okay, well, I can't give you this refund without the product. I'll just do a chargeback."
And chargebacks are especially, do you know that we're charging an extra fee?
Really?
Yes. So when we get a chargeback, not only are we, like, if they win. So when you get a chargeback, you can each submit your side. So if they say, "I didn't receive the product," or whatever, you can say, "Here's my here's the shipping. Every order we send out is tracked. Here's the tracking showing it's delivered. Here's the address," all that. Anyway, if we lose the chargeback and the bank is like, "Nope, that you need to refund them," we lose the shipping, we lose the cost of the product, but we also are charged a $15 fee.
$15?
$15 fee on top of everything else.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because I mean, the bank has to spend time and resources figuring out the chargeback.
Oh,
So
I
a
hate
chargeback includes a $15 fee in addition to all the other things.
Oh my god.
So every time a small business loses a chargeback, and I mean, for me, obviously, like, we have customer service, we respond to all emails within 24 hours, so like we're on top of that, and so our chargebacks are not valid. So they're very they're ones that are trying to, like, they're
trying to
it's
scam the small
people,
business.
yeah, it's people trying to get the product and the money back. Okay, so it's like not cool. But not only are they getting the product, getting their money back, so we lost the product, lost the money, and we were charged an additional fee for literally doing what we were supposed to do. It's like, it's so sad.
That's so gross.
But the type of people who do the chargeback, they don't care.
That's
Yeah.
so gross.
So,
I can't
yeah.
deal with it.
There's a lot of factors. Like, when you're a small business, it all comes back to you. Like, you have to deal with all those crappy things.
So then, considering all of that, what advice would you have to anyone who has the dream of starting a small business, or it's the good and the bad,
It's the good and the bad.
And that's the reality of these episodes, is you take the good and the bad, and you raise awareness about what it's like to actually do this job and profession.
And I wouldn't change it. I'm so thankful that I have the opportunity to. So yeah, with all that like negativity, it's the best thing ever. Like, the good customers far outweigh any bad customers. The good experiences far outweigh any negative experiences or interactions. So, like, I have the best, sweetest customers. Every single person who comes into my store, like, it makes my day. So, I mean, and those positive interactions far outweigh any negative interactions. So I would still say 100% do it. If you're passionate about something, if you see a need, like, absolutely start your small business. Absolutely, like, go for it. It's amazing. You're going to work hard, whether you're working for someone else or you're working for yourself. But when you do work for yourself, like, there is more flexibility. You're able to be more present. You're able to take off work when you need to, go to your kid's game. If your kid's sick, you can leave. You know what I mean? Like, you have that flexibility. Whereas that, like, with a traditional job, a lot of times you don't. Or if you, like, no, I need to leave to pick up my sick kid or something like that, I mean, it could be held against you. Florida's a right to work state, which means they can fire you at any time for no reason at all. Yeah. So, I mean, being your own boss definitely has its perks. And I definitely think like there's a lot of crazy stories. There's definitely like, we all definitely have
Every
them.
job has them.
But
Yeah,
every job has them.
every
And
job
I
has
definitely
them.
think the positives outweigh the negatives.
Absolutely.
So
Thanks for hanging out with me. I love. See, you were nervous. You know that was over an hour.
no.
Yeah, it's been an hour and 7 minutes. At least, well, I know that we like messed around for like a few minutes before we started, and like we're just chatting and blah 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 because we could chat all day. But yeah, that was like an hour.
Okay, was that okay?
No, that was beautiful.
Okay,
Thanks for
yay.
hanging out with me.
Yay. Thanks for having me. You're my very first podcast.
Oh my gosh, that's
I've
like
had-
so crazy to me.
I've had a decent amount of people ask, and I'm like, no.
Well, you know,
no.
I would never try to get you to say something
I know.
crazy. No, I thought it was perfect. I
Okay.
always loved. I mean, we could literally sit and chat for hours.
No,
That's just
seriously,
us.
Wish we could. I wish we could. I miss you so much.
I know.
when you're
Well,
not.
you're eventually gonna move to my neck of the woods anyway.
Couple years.
A couple years, yeah. We're gonna have your kid tour all the colleges near me. I'm gonna make you move, and you're gonna come hang out with me all the time.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get more dough balls, and that's just gonna be what it is.
I need to send you dough balls. Do you want me to send you? I have new sugar balls that are really cool texture.
Yeah.
I'll
And
send
I'll
you
put
a
the links
package.
in my descriptions for anyone else. If anyone ever like watched my early content whenever I did story time, I need to start doing those again. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed those. I need to do
I
those
love
again.
those.
I will do those again because I think the skits are fun and they're funny, but I think that there are some really serious stories that I don't really get to convey
Yeah.
as easily in a silly skit that I think people need to understand exist.
Yeah.
So when I get those toe balls, I guess I'm gonna get back.
Yeah,
to
you
story
would always
time.
play with them
Yeah.
in your
It's
videos.
like talking about awful things that happen to people stresses me out. So the dough balls are like
the world is heavy, and
But-
it's that's why I say literally there's so many benefits, there's so many, but like if it makes you smile, if you get this package and you're like,
That's
oh
all
my
that
gosh,
matters.
this feels amazing, oh this is so cute, oh this is fun, like
That's
that's
what
reason
matters.
enough.
that's literally all that
Your inner
matters.
child, like your inner, like the joy, like that's reason enough.
I love that.
So yeah, just the good feeling, the nice, that's reason enough to have it.
I agree. But I hope you all are as obsessed with faith as I am. And like seriously, if you can't tell by now, we are just the same person.
I love you.
I love you.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for hanging out with me. You need to go to bed now.
Yeah.
Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye, my lovelies.